Mm.
Have you ever done GG Radar?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's the one I was trying to do for like a couple hours, but it was really tough.
Who's that comedian? That Russian guy who's always like, it's Soviet Russia.
Yakov Smirnov?
Yes. That's
Oh. I've used packages that use this natively,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it was really hard. I was
I've
confused
never made
about
one
it.
myself.
Yeah.
All the deep fried memes, I feel like I can use R to make memes now. And that's dangerous really bad.
Okay. Hey, Lauren, do you have that Excel file handy, the one that you sent me? Can you upload that to Teams also? Because I want
The text, yeah.
to, not the text. That one's too difficult for where we
Okay,
are, but
the
the
Excel.
Excel, yeah.
Can we work it
Yeah.
the original way? Well, I sent it to your chat, but I
Oh. Here, I'll get it. Yeah, upload it so that everyone can grab it. All right, so Lauren has stuck an XLSX file in there. Let's download that thing. No, I don't want to see it. I want to download it. Don't do this to me. Download. All right. So will you tell us about this file?
Yeah. Well, before you upload it, I would like to do it how the data transfer, if that's possible, to see what changes. Because there I already like moved it, but columns D and E were just below A and B.
Oh, so the whole. Oops. Like all of that
Yeah.
was down here,
Yeah, it was just right below.
like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it won't change it either way,
Okay.
how we do this. So I'm going to undo that change so that we're all working with the same file.
Okay.
All right. This is a typical, hey, will you analyze my data moment. the odds of you getting a nicely formatted CSV file are effectively zero. You will get an Excel spreadsheet that looks like this at best. This one's really good, actually. What are the problems with it? Yeah, what is going on with the header area up there? This is not rectangular, so it's breaking that tidy data rule.
Or is this the thing just from like chemistry lab?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is just like from lab class.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is real data from a real lab class. Let me zoom in a little bit.
Are gonna have issues with the pictures too.
Oh, you better believe it. People will include pictures. That's bad.
I don't know what's happening with, I don't know what states. I'm not descripting of the experiment.
Yeah, there's no description of the experiment, but we've got time and temperature at least. We know the units. It's, I'm guessing seconds in degrees Celsius, and we've got run 1 and run 2. I don't know what those are, but here's a plot. I'm guessing this is run 1, and that's run 2. Because run 2 is longer. So it'd be really great if that were rectangular, but we've got another obvious problem here.
Is it the same two variables in different, even though they're different runs?
We've got basically 2 data sets. Here's one, there's one. Neither one of them have proper headers. And really this should be one data set if we want to plot it like this. And we need a variable called run, telling us whether it's run 1 or run 2, or like we could call it chemical. So in a happy world, this would be 3 columns, rectangular, and it would probably look something like this. If I just copy these,
Oh, I see.
and this is run 2. And then that would make this run 1. And so then it would be time in seconds, no spaces in our column names, please. Temp C and run. So that's the ideal situation that we're going to try to get. But we are not allowed to touch the raw data here that we've been given. So delete that. We've got to work with this garbage.
Thanks.
Hey, no worries. Thank you for giving us a good example that's not too hard to clean. All right. Well, since it's an Excel file, we've got a special package, readxl. And that's on CRAN, so you can install that. Real handy. And did you have a question, Mason?
I'm just looking at the data.
Oh, okay.
Space.
Yeah, it will. All right, so somebody gives us this data set, the first thing to do is to open the file and look at it and say, what's going on here? I'm gonna have some problems importing this. It's not rectangular, it's got images in it. At least you didn't do anything dumb like this. People will always do that. It's just they know 5 Excel formulas. They're gonna use them. You know, that's what you do. You put an average at the bottom. Now I've analyzed it. We're done, right? And then they give you the file, and you're like, wait, I actually don't need that average line. All right, so at least you didn't do that. That's nice. Well,
What's the name of the Excel package again?
Can you add it to it just to see what we should do if
yeah, sure. And I'll save this. Yep, use Excel format. Okay. All right, so I'm looking at the data and I'm thinking there's really 2 data sets here. It should be all stuck into one with a nice column telling us which run it came from. So the read Excel package, first I'm going to point to where I downloaded this. For me, it was just in my home downloads. So I've got that file saved as a little character string. And then read Excel. I want to see what functions are available, so I'll do that 2 colons. Well, this is an XLSX file, so that's what we're probably going to use there. It wants a path to our file. Well, that will just be file. Sheet. What's that mean?
If there's multiple sheets.
Multiple tabs. We can say sheet 1, 2, 3, or give it the name of the sheet. Range.
Just columns or rows?
How do I specify a range in here?
Are you gonna do equals?
Oh, thank you. Here's how Excel does ranges. Since it's the read Excel package, we're going to be able to tell it which ones we want to read in. Okay. Call names by default is true. Call types, we can tell it what, this should be numeric, convert it automatically. NA, trim white space. So if there's any extra spaces on the ends of things, by default it's going to get rid of that. Skip, how many lines to skip before we start reading this in? So if we have, for example, a bunch of useless crap at the top that are extra headers. Nmax, the maximum number of lines to read. Okay, well, I'm going to say I want you to read this file, and I'm going to find the range that I want you to read in. And if they've got a little average there, just leave it off. All right, so that range there is up there, A8 colon B573. So I'm going to copy that and paste it in with some quotes. And I'll call this run 1. And it's really that simple. So we just read in the first one. but let's take a look at it. What's wrong? It sure did. It thought the first row was the column names, so I'm gonna go back and say call names false. There we are. It gave us two make-believe column names, dot 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 1 and dot 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 2. Okay, run 2. You can see where this is going. All I got to do is change the range. So I highlight the bits I want, copy that range, paste that in. All right, we're getting close. What should we do next?
We wanna change, the, run 1 and run 2 into one data frame with run 1 and run 2 as factors.
Mm-hmm. We can't do that yet because if we stick these data frames together, we won't know which one was run 1 and which one was run 2. So we need to add a new column to each of them. But also I'd like to clean up the column names and make them match each other. So if I say names of run 1, it gives me dot 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 1 and dot 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 2. Well, looky here. I'm going to assign some brand new names to it. And the first one was time second, and the second one was temp C. So I've overwritten the bullshit names with real names. And it looks good now. I'll do the same for run 2. Oh, so you just have to enter them manually. A something to E846. Or you can copy it. Yeah. Okay, so we read in just the spots we needed. They're two separate data frames. We've added real column names to each of them. They match each other. Now we need to add that third column that says either run 1 or run 2. So run 1, there it is. Let's add ourselves a new column. So I $sign it and I say what? Run. And then what do I want to put in there? Run 1. If you provide it a single character vector, it'll fill every single one all the way down. So now run 1 is looking good. So I'll do the same for run 2. So run 2 run will be run 2. now we're ready to combine them. So this is the only, well, the second new thing. We saw the read Excel, but now a new command for you, real handy one, full join. It wants two data frames, X and Y, and a column name to join by. If you leave it empty, it'll try to merge everything with the same column names. So I'm going to full join run 1 and run 2, and that's it. So I'll just call that DF. And when I ran it, it said joining with time, temp, and run. It found 3 columns that had the same name in both, so it merged them all together.
If there's anything it can't merge, does it warn you about that, or does it
Mhm.
just?
Now, my website links to this, but here's the animated version of what's going on. Let me find the full join. Internet's being real slow today. While that's loading. Alright, so now you've got your data frame. It's looking good. Nice and tidy. It's rectangular. Every observation has a single row. Every variable has a single column. And so we're ready to plot. X equals times C, Y equals, wait, temp C time S. Plus a geom point. Okay, we just need to add color. The color aesthetic is run. So all in all, this cleaning wasn't actually too bad. With the read Excel package and us being able to specify which range and full join, it's really just a few lines of code. Got it in, it's ready to go. And since our ranges didn't include the stupid pictures that were added, it ignored them. Didn't have to deal with it. Yeah.
When you added the new column and just add run 1 and it
Mhm.
fill everything up, what if you want each of them to be different or there's a pattern? How would you do that?
You'd have to give it a pattern or a vector the same length.
So C,
Mhm.
and then 3 things, and that 3 things will repeat.
No. You'd have to give it something 566 long.
So
So
if there were 3 categories, 1, 2, and 3.
where
That's
did
no-
those come from?
Mhm.
If they were in the original data, they would have been read in. We could have said to read those in. Otherwise, we'd have to sit there and type them out ourselves, which is dumb. We don't want to do that. So the data set that we were given didn't have any categories. If it had, it wouldn't have been a problem. We would just expanded our range to include that column.
Is it everywhere that the pictures hover a cell, that they're counted as like part of the cell's contents, or?
It just really hates it. It hates it a lot.
Just the pictures overall, or?
The pictures overall. So you can drag this and cover the cells. That's not going to screw up the range.
Oh.
Yeah. But like the pictures themselves, if you were to try to read in this whole sheet, it's going to hate it. It's going to say, sorry, I can't do that. There's pictures embedded.
Are you recording this talk?
Mm-hmm. Alright, so that's really not too bad. We could include all this stuff in the read Excel function if we really wanted to. So it reads them in and cleans them as they go, but I'm just going to leave it like this. That's fine. Now, note what we didn't do is we didn't change that original file at all. That's what we got. It stays sacrosanct. We read it in the way it's given to us, or how terrible that is. This one wasn't too bad.
And then you save the image as.
Well, I would probably do this. I would say write CSV, my new cleaned data set. I would send it to a new cleaned file. For more complex projects, I tend to have like 2 or 3 scripts for them. The first script is just cleaning the data and saving it as a cleaned CSV or an R object or something. So I don't have to do that again. I can just now load this clean one to do my analyses. But in this case, the cleaning was actually so fast that I don't care. I'm just going to let it re-clean every time I open and run this script. Alright, so now I should have that file. And this is what the cleaned up file looks like. It's a nice CSV, 3 columns, everything separated by commas, beautiful. Now, you know, tomorrow, maybe they give you a new data set and it's got a 3rd run and a 4th run. We're just gonna have to keep adding, read these in, add a new column saying what run they are, and then full join will still work.
Code's already.
Yeah, code kind of writes itself. But what I understand, Lauren, is that the machine that you use doesn't spit out an Excel file. It spits
No.
out a text
A text
file. So we wanna look at that?
Wait,
That was an ugly cleaning.
what's the job text file? Like LabQuest?
That was, yeah. Unless you know it, right, that's how the professor had it, that's how we exported the data to.
Okay, rather than walk through it, I can show you what the code looks like to clean it and explain my thinking on it. Okay? Can you upload that text file for us? Oh, here we go. Alright,
Do you have
so
yours? Do you have your, upload it, cause mine did something weird.
well, I want the version you did because I cleaned on that. So this is what a full join does with 2 data frames. So there's the 2 data frames any new stuff on the X or the Y gets added. Right, so we had in column 1 4, no Y for that, but no X. What gets put there?
No.
Yeah, NA. Yeah. So it'll just add a bunch of NAs for if you saw something in one variable over here but didn't look for it in that one. So it's pretty nice. There's a bunch of joins. Right join only keeps stuff that was seen in the right side. Left is, of course, the opposite of that. Semi-join only keeps things that were seen in both. Anti-join, the opposite. Mm-hmm. Alright, so there's lots of different joins. They all have their uses. Full join's probably the one you're going to use most often. If you've got huge data sets, anti-join can be really fast and easy to like remove the 90% of the crap you don't want, you're not looking for, that kind of thing. Alright. So let's see. Here's the text file. Download that. And here's what it looks like. So it's the same stuff. Aha. There's the second run. It just sticks it on the bottom. This time it stuck it on the bottom but didn't include a space. I don't know what kind of machine decides to include a space sometimes and not another, but that kind of screws with us. Because now I can't just look for blank lines and say that's the breakpoint. Right. Let me pull the code. I did this on a different computer, so I gotta download that. What did that say? Oh, there it is. So this is in downloads. All right, so I'm gonna just do read lines and look at it. Object text not found, text path. Here's what R is gonna see when it looks at this file. What in the world? \T is a special character. Any guesses? Tab. So this is not comma delimited, it's tab delimited. Okay. So I see that and I'm like, oh, tabs are separating things. So I can't use read CSV. It's going to be read delim. That uses tabs by the default. And I'm looking at the data set and I'm thinking the best way to split this up is to find the word vernier. And so I use grep to find all the spots. These are the line numbers where vernier happens. There's 3 of them. That third one wasn't a full run. It didn't really count, but it found it there. And sure enough, there's the 3 lines that have Vernier in them. All right, so when I looked at the data, it looks to me like Vernier is followed by 6 useless lines. That's that extra header stuff, like the T and the C and all that junk. All right, so Vernier should mark the end of each run, or actually the beginning of the next run. So I'll build a vector of the skip values. So the first time, I'm gonna skip 7 lines, and that'll get me on the first column. Right, so here's line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7's empty. So if I skip the first 7 lines, this is going to start reading in the data. So this is time for a for loop. And that's a big, ugly for loop. Let me walk you through what it does. Seek along skips gives me the numbers 1, 2, 3s. There were 3 skip values. For each of those, I'm going to read the lem of the file with no call names. My delimiter is a tab. And I'm going to skip that many lines first. So 7 and like 584 or whatever. I'm going to save that as run inside the for loop. Add a new empty, or get rid of the empty column. So for some reason it was reading it in because they always had a tab at the end of the line. So X3 was what it called that. I'm going to send null to it, deleting that column. Rename it, time S and temp C. And then I'm going to say run is paste together the word run with underscore and then I, which will be 1, 2, 3. So run will be run 1, then run 2, run 3. And then I'm going to find the maximum number of lines to read. And so I'm looking for Vernier and then finding the next time that it was there. Okay. Then I'm going to subset to just those. Then I'm going to do one of those mutates, changing time to numeric and temperature to numeric. Each one of those data frames I'm going to add to a list. So I made an empty list at the top. So list item 1 will be a data frame, and then the second item in that list will be a data frame, and so forth. So if I make this empty list, run the for loop, it ran it in, it did everything, and now I've got this thing called df list. And it's kind of hard to look at. It's a list of 2. Notice that that last one was empty. The first item in the list is a data frame. Second item in the list is a data frame. So now I'm going to condense that full list of data frames using the full join function. There they are, and I get my data. So this is actually kind of nice because now it doesn't matter how many runs there are. I don't have to go in and find the little spots where they're going to be. There could be 3,000 different runs on there. This will take care of it all. Okay. But it's a bit more complex cleaning script than you're probably ready for. Which is why I didn't want you to have to walk through everything right now.
So would something like this work with a CSV if you wanted to not have to go up to the next?
Yeah,
Could you
Sure
upload
would.
that code?
I did. I sent it to you. Yeah. So you should be able to run that code, and it doesn't matter how many runs are there, you'll still get this plot with the number of runs. Now, of course, they don't say what chemical they are or anything, because I have no idea. But you'd have to add that yourself. All right, so cleaning can be relatively straightforward, or it can be kind of an involved, ugly process. I'm never going to give you anything this bad in class. I might give you something as bad as that Excel sheet, though. you have to pull in stuff, stack them on top of each other. But if you do that, you lose information about where they were unless you add those columns first, that kind of thing. So your practice will be to go through the website stuff for this week. And we're in week 7, right? 6. The tidy data chapter. It's short. It's got code to help you walk through this. It's going to walk through the same table 1, table 2, table 3, but I want you practicing it, getting used to those, like, oh, beautiful. When to pivot longer, when to pivot wider. The transforming data frames. This is really good practice exercises for doing things like filter, mutate. So get used to those. And then it talks about joins at the very bottom. And then the tidy verbs. You've seen most of these. There's the cheat sheet for you. Where are we? Oh, there they are. So our pivots, separate, extract, unite. Nothing you haven't seen before. But again, practice makes perfect. So when we meet next week, we're going to be going through this stuff, the idea of joins, like you saw today, merging data sets, dealing with really ugly stuff, and in class together we're going to clean a file called bird measurements that's in your data set. It sucks. Okay. So if you want to get a head start, at least look at bird measurements and start asking yourself the questions. What do I need to do to make this tidy? And just explain it in plain English, and then we'll start at that point in class next week. Questions? We still got a few minutes if you've got anything. I don't want to start anything new.
I'm trying to save the image for the plot we made.
Mm.
And here I'm using ggSave. I call it df_1.
Oh, so you named the plot?
Yes.
Or-
I named the full join. I called it.
Okay. So once you make your plot, it's really just, if you say ggSave, just tell it where to go.
Yeah. Then name it, yeah.
Wait, height. Height equals 4, width equals 4, and that didn't work?
I didn't add the DP.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. And what error do you get?
It says, in use method, grid.draw. Not applicable method or grid.draw applied to one object of class C. And then TBL_DF.
So you're trying, and you've got your plot shown in the bottom right?
I did because this is how I did it for the ugly plot, so I just copy and paste the same. I do have file name after.
That's fine. So the default here is that it will save the last plot that you made. So whatever is down here, it will do that.
So maybe I should have pulled it more sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're trying to save a data frame, not a plot. That'll work.
Then why didn't I?
Because you named the plot P2. The PF1 isn't a plot. It is a data
Yeah,
frame.
so it's no.
So yeah, it's saying, hey, I don't know how to make a plot out of a data frame. nagging questions?
When
Yeah.
are we gonna want our data for our final?
That's a great question. As soon as possible, but 3 weeks is like, maybe even a month will be kind of the deadline to have that data. So that's assignment 10 coming up. It's like, hey, I've got my data. So the sooner the better, because we're gonna run into problems with your data that we need to work through. The whole last month of class will be final projects. All we've got left is more practice cleaning, and we should really spend more time on that. But then modeling. So a plot like this, does it answer your chemistry question?
Yeah, the math we really just have to do. She just wanted to see what we got in that quiz in an Excel plot.
So, yeah, does the, I guess run is chemical, right?
Well, so as far as I know, where it says run 1 and run 2, that cannot be changed unless we change the column names, correct?
No, we could do it in the column names, and we might want to.
But
So,
because I don't want to add an underscore to the graph, it's just like.
okay,
not
so
something you read.
we just do that with, oh yeah, scale, color, manual, breaks equals, and what was run 1, like lauric acid?
Yeah, and then the second one you can say mixture.
So, needed 2, but only 0 provided. What are you talking about? Values equals red and dark green. I forgot the close parentheses. No, I hate that. Hmm? No, it should know those. Alright, so I'll change it in here, and this will be a good little mutate practice. We've got df all. We got run 1 and run 2 in a column called run. So I can mutate that column. Remember, we're going to change columns using mutate. So I'm going to say run, or I'll make a new column. Chemical equals, and basically I want to say, like, if you see the word run 1 in the run column, I want you to say lauric acid. And if you see run 2, I want you to say mixture. So this is case when
Wait,
run.
You're in the text file. Can you go back to the other one?
I'm
'Cause
not.
I don't have the all in my Excel.
It should be the same as the.
Really?
the
Because I don't have the.
It's the same as df. It's the exact same. When you're tidy, you're tidy. All right. Run, when run is equal to run 1, then in that case, give me lauric acid. And when run is equal to run 2, then in that case, give me mixture. case when is a real handy, it's like an if-else that's actually readable. So whenever run is equal to run one, spit out lauric acid and put it into a new column called chemical. When it's run two, call it mixture. So now you see we just got ourselves a new column of the actual chemical names. And so I'll just pipe that whole thing, and instead of coloring by run, I'll color by chemical. I can get rid of that whole and now I just did all the stats for it. And now I told it to report the stats for me, so I can just basically cheat my way through intro stats. And there's the output for your exam or homework. Now I know we've got a statistics major in here, so don't report me, but I think you should all cheat your way through stats. As long as you understand what's happening, there's nice, tidy, short ways of getting the answer that mean you don't have to calculate things by hand, like you're in ancient Greece still.
Most of the stats like our system do this,
Yeah, I know.
which is kind of sad.
Yeah. And so yeah, those two chemicals do have different cooling curves. I should probably log transform them first. I was being real serious, but I'm out of time. And once you get this part down, you're basically done. That's your modeling. All that's left is to report it. And so the final thing we'll learn in here is how to make an automated report that generates all this, along with our text and images and stuff using code. And that's it for the class. We've got basically a month left of actual instruction before we hit our hard data sets. The end is in sight. You're going to be okay. The hard part's over. We've all figured out file paths now. It's important.
It's like, oh, and then here's something,
Mm-hmm.
and now the plot's like 2 seconds.
The plots is, it's like 2 seconds, and the stats are like 2 seconds, once you've got a clean data set. Mm-hmm. Run is equal to run one. Lauric acid. But when run
Oh, what he did, the things,
Yeah.
yeah, I. You think you're gonna do it this month?
No, just wanted to see what it's like. I was just curious.
For this specific thing that she asked for, at this point where I'm at with coding, I see it easier to like do it in Excel, like just like less time consuming than writing the code, I guess.
Maybe for now, that's like saying it's easier for me to like walk to Salt Lake City because I don't wanna learn how to drive.
Yeah.
So you may get there before you learn how to drive, but once you learn how to drive, it's faster than walking.
I did see that CSV that the lab class gave us, and I had that exact thought. I was like, it's gonna be longer to do the like annoying thing with Excel, or like try to practice doing it.
I know.
Hey,
I guess
this
the
is how I
difference-
learned R was, it was always gonna be faster for me to do it in Excel, and so it's like, I'm just gonna make myself do it in R. My personal budgeting, I was like, that's it, I'm doing this in R, and it took me forever until suddenly it didn't, and now everything's faster.
I wanted to do budgeting as my project. I started looking at like codes online.
Mhm.
They were so I couldn't understand what they were saying. That's too much.
No, it's not. That's how you learn, is you gotta have a project, and you've gotta have a goal, and make yourself do it.
But how do you know? Because a lot of people do it different. Like, how do you know which one to choose? You just choose one.
Who cares?